If you're at a buffet event, a wedding, whatever, there's a buffet, at least in the US, there's almost always going to be crudité, raw vegetables. There's going to be some fruit, usually some melons and some strawberries and things like that. Almost always. You can probably eat all you want of that stuff. Guess what most people aren't eating very much of? That stuff. Okay, you can have all you want. If it's a sit-down dinner and you don't want to feel awkward and have nothing in front of you, usually they bring the salad first. When they bring everybody else the entrees, here's what I do. If the salad was lame, as it often is, I say no thanks. If the salad was good, which is unusual, or even passable and I'm hungry, I'll say to the waiter, no, but do you have another salad? Do you have any more salad? They always do. There's always more. Anybody ever involved in catering? They've always got some extra, okay? Always. So they can usually bring you another salad, no problem. Okay, that's what I would do. That's what I have done many times. Now, whatever kind of event you're at, if you're doing what I'm suggesting, you're probably going to raise a few eyebrows. There are probably going to be some questions, okay? So how do you deal with those kinds of questions? Well, one way, and I know people who do this, is to take out all the information you have and pummel these people. Beat them to a bloody pulp, right, with your words. But ask yourself a question. What are you trying to accomplish? What is it you want to do? I think I know. I think you probably want to help the people that you care about make better choices. Isn't that true? Yes? Remember, this means yes? This means no? Okay? Is that what you guys want to do? It is, right?
You also want to prove your point.
Well, you want to get clear about this. You want to get clear about what's most important to you. Because proving your point is often counterproductive.
You're inviting people to do the same back to you, like the energy that you give, like
If-
not accepting other people's choices.
If the idea is to win the argument, what most people do is they dig in and get defensive. People will defend absolutely idiotic, indefensible positions because they feel defensive, right? So they'll start making claims like, well, I think the best thing is Dunkin' Donuts. That's all we should really eat. I mean, it's like idiotic things, right? You don't want people to get defensive. A defensive person closes their mind. They're not open to hearing anything you're saying. So let's role play a little bit. Here's what I'd like. Somebody who's willing to be aggressive with me. I want you to attack me for my choices. Right? I'm eating salad. You're eating the prime rib, whatever. And I want you to be aggressive about my salad not being enough. Or whatever it is. You want to play? Go ahead.
You really think you're going to get all the nutrients you need from just a salad?
Can everyone hear? Speak up just a little bit if you don't mind.
Really think you're going to get all the nutrients you need from just a salad?
You know, I don't know. Maybe not, but I sure feel great when I eat it.
Aren't you afraid of lack of protein, malnutrition?
You know, I used to be afraid of that. I don't really worry about it anymore because when I eat this way, I just feel terrific.
Not much else.
But where's you getting protein?
Well, you know, I don't really know, but it's just, I feel so good. I mean, I think there's protein in everything, a little bit of protein in everything, and I just feel so good. I don't really worry about it.
Don't you ever crave those delicious morsels like bacon and donuts?
You know, I used to a little bit when I started doing it this way, but I felt so good eating this way, I just ignored the cravings, and now I don't really have those anymore.
It doesn't sound like you're living.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I would have thought the same thing. Like if you asked me 5 years ago, how did I feel just eating fruit? I would have said exactly the same thing. And now I feel so good all the time. I live like I've never lived before. And I don't miss that stuff at all. Anybody else want to jump in? Well, here's, what am I not doing?
Preaching.
I'm not arguing. I'm not preaching. I mean, I could answer the direct questions. I know exactly where my protein's coming from. I'm not trying to win the argument.
You're just
Now,
speaking from your personal perspective.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with, I feel great when I do this. Right? You know, one person can't argue on their own. Just refuse to argue with them. Yeah, you might be right. You're probably going to get sick and die if you keep doing that. Yeah, maybe I will. If that ever happens, I'll probably try something else. But for now, I just feel amazing. No, you don't. Well, no one's ever said that, right? No, you don't. Well, actually, I do. Well, you look too skinny. I'm like, yeah, I know. A lot of people say that, but I don't know what to say. I mean, I just feel so good. I don't really care. That's the way I would encourage you to deal with those situations. And especially for anybody here who maybe isn't as confident. I mean, I've actually debated most of these issues in public forums. No problem. And I can hold my own against anybody. Anybody know who Milton Mills is? He's an MD. He's a vegan MD in Washington, D.C., and he's very strong, but he's a typical vegan diet. 2 years in a row, I debated him in public at the University of Pittsburgh in front of hundreds of people, and both times. Lots of people come up to me and said, you kicked his butt. Like, that's different, right? That's competition. I mean, that's the idea, is win the argument. I'm not going to say, oh, maybe you're right, Milton, I don't know. I'm making my points, and I'm making my points strongly and clearly, and people are walking away going, oh, I never thought of that. But when you're talking to somebody you care about, who is coming from a very different place, they're coming from a place of, first of all, if they're asking you the questions, here's something you want to understand. A, they either care about you, and they think that you're going to hurt yourself, or they're curious, they want to know, right? And think about this. If you're sitting at a table, one of these big round tables at a wedding, with a dozen people, and they're all over the age of 12, how many of those people do you think also feel great all the time? Probably nobody, right? Here's what happens. It happens all the time. Now, if I'm at a big table like that, I'll often wind up having a conversation like this with someone sitting next to me. Often the other people just, stay out of the conversation. Sometimes they get involved. But almost every single time, it could be 10 minutes, it could be an hour later, it could be next week, it could be a month later. I'll hear from that person, and they'll say, so you really feel good, huh? You still doing that? You really feel good. I'll say, I do, I feel amazing. Because what's true is they probably don't feel good all the time. And they're thinking about this and thinking, I wonder if that might work for me. Now, not everyone's going to do that. Some people are simply not open. They're not willing to consider anything. They will die before they change anything. Okay? You probably know people like this. They're dying of cancer and heart disease, and they're still smoking 2 packs a day and living on McDonald's. And they're not going to and drinking a 6-pack of beer at every meal. Okay? And they're not going to change. Okay, they're not going to change. That's just what they're not open. Okay, well, you know what? You probably can't help those people. But if you really care about other people, you want to meet every single human being who crosses your path, wherever they are. You have to meet them where they are, right now, in this moment, which might be eating meat and drinking beer. Okay. Can you do that? Can you meet them there? Can you interact with them as if that's okay? I can, because I used to do those things. It's not hard for me to remember when I didn't know what I know now. I lived a whole bunch of years of my life and consumed a lot of stuff that wasn't very good for me. I understand. They simply don't know any better. But if you want to help people, you have to understand you can't ram this stuff down people's throats. Who else has tried that? I have. Who else has tried that? How'd that work out for you?
Well, it works a lot better. I've done the same thing you just did there, and it does. It really works. It's
A lot better.
nobody can confront a personal opinion.
Yeah.
Rather than if you're citing facts.
Well,
or you're
and besides, the thing is, if you directly address the question, I know people who would say things like, well, not only is this good for me, but that shit's going to kill you. Oh yeah, that's going to win a lot of points, right? I don't think that was in Dale Carnegie's course, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Okay, that's not a good strategy if you care about people and if you want to actually help them, because all they're going to do is get defensive. And you don't even have to say that for people to get defensive. But as soon as you do in any way attack what they're doing, they're going to get defensive. So I would never go there. They would, if someone says, but doesn't this look good to you? I'd say, well, it used to. I used to love that food. I don't miss it, and it doesn't really appeal to me anymore. I feel so much better when I eat this way that it's all I want to do. And that's true for me. I can say that with a completely straight face. And people feel that. And maybe that's why I get the responses and the questions later. Because they get that's really true. You know, if you can't say that if that's not true. Okay? You don't be walking around making statements that aren't true for you. Because people will sense your lack of honesty, your lack of integrity. And they're not going to believe you. They're not going to trust you. Tell your truth. Well, how long have you been doing that? 2 days. Well, it's not going to work for you. It's only been 2 days. How silly is that? Well, I don't know. For right now, these 2 days, I feel great. That's all. You don't have to get defensive. They're not attacking you. Even if you think they're attacking you. Well, you're stupid if you think you can get that. You can feel well eating that. Well, this might be stupid. I don't know. But I sure feel great. I'm coming back to the same place over and over again. Because you can't argue with it. Okay, they can't argue with it. And it doesn't make them defensive. I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong. I'm saying this works for me. And again, because the truth is almost inevitably, invariably, what they're currently doing is probably not working for them very well. I mean, remember, number one selling drug besides Viagra, antacids. Throughout the developed world, people by the millions are swallowing antacids after every meal. I mean, at some of these events, you can see people take the things out of their pockets after they eat their food and put it in their mouth and take some water. This is happening all over the place. So most people eat and don't feel good as a regular event, 3-4 times every single day. When you can sit there and not only say, but actually vibrate this sense of, I'm completely at peace, I'm completely comfortable, and I feel amazingly well. Not only are they not going to argue, but that's going to be a huge invitation. You're going to be attracting them to something that they actually want. They're just afraid of. They're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of making changes. But they want what you have. They all want it. People are going to want what you guys have when you get home. And it's funny how people... I had a client years ago. It took me years to convince her to fast with me. She fasted with me about 5 years ago. I've known her for a long time. Finally convinced her to come fast. At the end of her fast, we took a picture of her and sent it to her. And she posted it on her Facebook page. And she got tons and tons of comments. Oh my God, you look amazing. And she said, well, this is the end of my fast. Oh, well, you look too skinny. You look sickly. They thought she looked great until they knew what she did. Okay? What's going on there? They're defenses. They don't want to have to fast to feel well. They're not willing to do that. So they have to attack it now so they can feel okay with their decision not to take care of themselves. But we want to do everything possible to avoid making people feel defensive. Remember, the most important thing in life is human relationships. I know people who say, I won't eat as someone, if they're eating meat, I won't eat with them. Okay, that's fine. We all have to draw our own lines. I have my lines. When I was still in the Washington, D.C. area, my father would call me, big holidays, I'd go to my family's house, my parents' house for dinner. And my father would often call me and say, son, would you pick up some milk? And I'd say, sorry, Dad, I don't buy milk for anybody. I'm not buying the milk. I'm sorry. I don't do that. I'm just not going to do it. You'll have to go get your own milk. But will I sit there while they eat whatever they're eating? Absolutely. I love these people. I'm not going to love them less because they make different choices than I do.